5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So, for all of you who've just signed in, we're going to interview Ruth Gerson, who is both a performer, piano player, wonderful vocalist, and songwriter. She's got it all, and she does it all, and she teaches it all. And so I think today the main focus is going to be on your songwriting abilities, since we're a songwriting organization. And the first question I want to ask you is, how did you get started writing songs?
Oh, I love to answer this question. So I definitely grew up in a pretty musical family. My mom was a violinist. That's probably why I grew up in New York City, because she came from Nebraska and went to Juilliard and played violin. And then my father's side of the family were all singers. And I found out later in life, my grandmother, which I never even knew, my mother's mother, was also a singer and a vocal and a voice teacher. And I was like, Mom, how could you never tell me this? I didn't know until way later. But I was lucky to grow up around a lot of music and around a lot of instruments. So the instruments, like I had a piano I grew up in New York City in a small apartment, but there was a piano in my bedroom, right? Like that was just like piano bed. So I started writing. I started getting on the piano when I was, 3. And I remember that I always had the opportunity to, play on the piano, and I would just play, and I would start writing little songs. Even I remember because it was like my mom would always talk about, oh, you wrote that song when you were 3 about the spider or something. And then, but it became the way, I believe, just growing up that way, it became sort of how I talk to myself. So I think we all have that inner monologue going on, but instead of it being speech, I was always singing to myself, and words and music together. And it wasn't until I was probably about 12 or 13 where I really started writing songs to kind of process everything I was going through at the time, because it was a very hard time for me at that age. And writing songs was a way I could process it, understand it, express it, and I really think it's really part of who I am. But that's how I started. It was there in front of me.
Well, what about your process of songwriting? How has that changed since you were a young gal and now?
Yeah. The other little piece that I should add was that I was also listening to tons of songwriters, right? I was listening to Carole King. I was listening to James Taylor. I was also listening to, Led Zeppelin and Billie Holiday, and listening to those songwriters and having the music there in front of me, that the opportunity to have those instruments and things that I'm sure made it kind of happen. So how has my process changed? It's changed really drastically, I would say. So when I was younger, I think songs really flowed out of me all the time. Like I was constantly writing stuff, and that was true way through, I would say, all through my 20s. That stuff was just, it was like you were trying to bottle it. It was coming out and you're trying to bottle it. And I would say, and as I said before, like a lot of it wasn't very good. It was undeveloped. It was not necessarily structured well. But as I got older, I certainly, my brain, your brain changes. We know this, that your brain changes, for music, for math, for everything that you might do. But I became more of a sculptor, and I would say that I have to kind of get to a place where that flow happens, right? I have to have a discipline where that flow happens. and what I tell all my younger songwriters, or not always younger, but newer songwriters, is to, to hold on to everything you write, even if you think it's whatever, everything's valid. Everything's valid. So keep it, because you may come back to it 10 years later and find that nugget, that little seed that as a sculptor, you can create a whole song from. So I would say my process has changed from sort of a chaotic, frantic creative spirit with lots and lots to say, to more of a crafts person who gets in there, and then within that craft, hopefully, if I'm lucky, that inspiration will kind of bubble up and happen. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you write lyrics or music first?
Usually they come together. Okay. Usually there is I'm singing words, usually. And then the sort of, it's not often a whole song. Every once in a while, something will happen and a whole song will come out, and you're just writing it, and you're not in control of it necessarily. But most of the time it's just an idea. So then that process becomes, I think what I'll do is I'll do both simultaneously, but kind of back and forth. So I'll have some melody come, and then I might think of, okay, well, who am I in this song? Who am I talking to? What just happened in my imagination, that made me have to write this song, that's making me have to have this dialogue, this communication. And I'll start asking myself all those questions. So I'll start to write, and I won't write this in lyrics right away. I'll write this just as a brainstorm. And then from there, often as I'm writing that, something will feel singable and I'll start to sing it. So I kind of go back and forth. I might be singing something, but the words are almost there, but not quite there. So the words will shape the melody, and then the melody will shape the words. But generally the inspiration at least for what will become a song, lyrics and melody come together. Once in a while I'll be like, well, that's a good title for a song. So I would say the lyrics come first in that thought, in that idea. Oh, that thought would make a good song. And once in a while I might be playing around with the melody and wonder, what could this melody say? But generally generally it's together. The initiation is together.
And when you—
How about you?
Me?
Yeah.
I always start off with a title.
Oh, you do?
And then I write a chorus. Because if you don't have a dynamite chorus, there's no point going any further.
This is why you're really famous and I'm not.
I also had a bunch of luck too. I got it.
This is what, so that's great to know, because now at 50, I'm more going, okay, like that chorus has to, nothing else matters if that in a chorus song, right? There are songs
right.
that don't
there are
the choruses, but in those kinds of songs that are hits, that it almost sometimes feels like it doesn't matter what anything else does as long as that chorus is, off the charts. So, but it's good to hear that. So you start with the title and then you craft the chorus.
Yeah, most of the time.
And then
actually, when I have what I call my first flow, I do whatever comes. I'll write it all down, get it all down, play it all, and don't stop it. Don't get in the way. Don't edit, nothing until it's all out. And then if it's garbage, I'm free to throw it away. But usually there's germs, at least, of something to work on. So I subscribe to the don't bore us, get to the chorus routine.
That's great.
Yeah. So do you write mainly for yourself to perform the song, or do you write to pitch the song to other people, to other
My
recorders?
whole life I've written for myself to play the songs. I haven't, and that's so far, right? It's only occurring to me now, like, and I think that's such a great question because um, I think that those songs that are, every song is valid and every song is beautiful and every song has its purpose. And but when I look at my songs, I should be able to at least say, hey, who could sing that if it wasn't me? Because if I'm the only person that can sing that song because it only suits who I am, then that's okay and that's great, but that's not a universal song. You know what I mean? That So it's a great question to ask yourself as an artist, like, so if I were going to write for someone else, or if someone else was going to sing my song, who would that be? I think it's such a great question, but I would say that up until just recently, I've always been just writing for me to sing those songs.
Okay.
And I've been shocked when someone has covered a song of mine. I've been like, oh my goodness. So, but I think as a teacher, I would do one of those, do as I say, not as I do, and think about writing songs for other artists, even if you end up seeing them or they never see the light of day. It's a good perspective as a songwriter.
And how do you get your songs to other people?
How do I get my songs to other people to cover?
Yes.
I really don't. I really don't pursue that. I haven't pursued it. If I were to pursue it, I suppose I would make the best darn recordings of them that I could, that didn't necessarily production wise kind of, it would just represent the song production wise, not have such a sharp perspective. And then I would approach.
What do you mean by sharp perspective? I don't know.
Well, I think if I were pitching a song to another artist, I would want, it would kind of like, I would want them to be able to hear themselves singing it. So right. I wouldn't necessarily want to produce it in a certain way that then, like, I would want the song to be, I want them to just hear the song so they can imagine themselves singing it. And then I would probably not just necessarily approach if you can approach a manager or somebody professionally connected to the artist, that's great. But I mean, we have so many, I would think creatively, like, how can this person that I want to cover my song possibly hear my song? So I would look at other avenues because they are available with social media. I mean, if you want, if you want, I don't know, Ed Sheeran to sing your song. I mean, I can't, he writes so many songs, I can't even, but I mean, you would want to make sure not only you're following Ed Sheeran on Instagram, you'd want to start really engaging in those conversations, those real conversations of his real loyal fans on there, because that just would, you might have an opportunity to connect to the artist other ways besides some places which may feel impenetrable.
Using the internet in a clever way.
I think so. I might be crazy, but I think if I wanted to get to an artist, of course you want to, if you possibly can, approach management or things like that. But it's not always so easy, right? Unless you have a contact. So although it's not always impossible either, when I was in, everything that I've gotten, I've usually gotten from a strong kind of letter campaign, right? So I like to tell the story of like how I got on Conan, which was, I had gotten the opportunity to go when I was really young on the Joe Franklin show, and Joe Franklin had sent my material over to the Letterman show, and then Letterman became Conan, and all this stuff happened. But Joe Franklin said, just keep sending your package, Ruth, just keep sending it. So every few weeks I would send the package would send the package. And then I was at South by Southwest, and I had been, and I was talking to this incredible songwriter, Bob Newirth, who I had toured with in Italy. And I saw out of the corner of my eye, the booker, because I knew, because I was always writing him from Conan, I saw him there, and I saw him kind of looking at Bob Newirth. And he was like, he wanted to talk to Bob Newirth, not to me. And I was like, hi, sir, this is Bob. Have you met? Blah, blah, blah. And they started talking, which is what, he wanted. And then he looked at my name tag and it's like, Ruth Gerson, I've heard of you. I'm like, yes, I send you a package every 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks, I send you a package. And so he finally said, well, I'll look at it, and then, and from there I had to call him. I would put it on the calendar every 3 weeks, because in my head, that was something that was like a squeaky wheel, but not obnoxious wheel. And I would just say, hi, did you? And eventually I got on. So I would say that things like that do happen. And I think you can create contacts by being, taking initiative, not giving up, and, but also being, he said at the end, you did the perfect job of, being a squeaky wheel without annoying me. He didn't use that word exactly, but it was,
That's great.
and I said, well, that's what I was trying to do.
I know it's a real art to be aggressive and not too aggressive.
Yeah.
But
step forward, step back, step forward,
yeah.
step back.
But I don't know anybody who succeeded in the music business without being aggressive. You have to be. I mean, at the same time, you got to be cool. I remember going to a party and Bonnie Raitt was there. And these days it was all cassettes, right? So I had a cassette in my pocket for Bonnie Raitt.
First
And
of all,
here
right?
I was socially meeting her through my friend Peter Bonetta at a party. And I never pulled out that tape and gave it to her because it was so uncool to do it. I thought I'd do more damage. So anyway.
Yeah. No, that's a really good, you have to go with how you feel on that. Like if you're feeling like this is going to annoy this person, and the last thing I want to do is annoy this person, but then you can also think like, okay, I want to give this person, and I'm not like the best at how to be successful. But I would say you can, when you want to give your tape to someone, if it's not the right time to give your tape, it might be an opportunity to have another kind of connection. Like, oh, hey, Ms. Ray, oh, would you like, they have soda over here, would you like one? Or just something where they're like, oh, you're so sweet. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to say, okay, I want to give her the tape, but I don't want her first impression of me to be like about myself, So, so maybe think creatively what you can do.
One of the people who are signed in today, and I don't know which one it is, it doesn't matter, had a question of what is a typical day like for a professional songwriter? So what are your days like when you're writing?
Days like when I'm writing, and I have to say at this moment in my life, I'm not writing like I was writing as a touring artist, right? I was a touring artist and I made my living as a musician, as a touring artist for about 20 years. So those typical days are, I would get up and exercise, get up early, like, because I really do think the brain for writing, at least for me, works really well in the morning. So I would get up early, exercise, and then I would often read a little bit. And this is right before I had kids all pulling my hair out all the time. And then I would get to the piano and play, and then I would write. So then I would spend time writing. And then I would have to spend also time, of course, working on, booking gigs, practicing for gigs, promoting gigs, working on tours, working on, of course, all kinds of whatever CD art and things like that. This was back a ways. So you did spend as quite an amount of time also promoting the work that you're doing. But I would say I set up the early part of the day to be to make what nowadays we call content or whatever, to make stuff. And then I would spend the figure, and hopefully many evenings I spent performing. So West Coast Songwriters, she won a contest at West Coast Songwriters, and not only was that amazing for her just as a songwriter, I think it really also helped her with her college acceptance, because it was at Freight and Salvage, and we invited admissions from Cal to come there, and they did. They came. We couldn't believe they came, and it was fortunate she won that night.
And Salvage. Was I one of the judges on that by any chance?
What?
Was I one of the judges there by any chance?
It's possible. She sang a song called "Fooled," and I played with her, and my other daughter played cajon.
Oh, I think I was there.
Yeah, it was a few years ago. I'll send you the tape. And so she's I've been producing stuff for her. So she's got like a song coming out where there'll be a video on Valentine's Day, and then the song will come out the end of February. So that'll be, so anyways, I went from making demos on Logic to now I'm producing songs for my kids so far.
Well, when you produce them, do you record them yourself on Logic? And
yes, I do. And then at some point when it's all pretty ready to go, I'll go into a better studio and have her recut vocals on equipment that's superior to the equipment that I have. And I'll work with an engineer who is better than me. But I get it to a place that I get it to that demo place, and then we go into the studio and work with someone who's better than me.
Do any of you have any questions for Ruth? I thought someone had some questions.
Or a question for Andre.
Oh, well, no, the spotlight's on you today.
Oh gosh.
I do.
What is it?
I'm just curious at how she describes her genre, or how she developed that, or discovered what type of music she's, actually writing, or is good at writing, or that.
And what is your name?
I'm Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
That's a great question. And I think it really gets my brain going, because in the beginning, I had a lot of trouble figuring that out. Don Dixon, who produced my first record, I remember this so well. He's like, why don't you start to figure out who you're not? I think as a singer, I was a very versatile singer, just good, right? I could sing, I grew up doing so many different kinds of singing, classical music, theater, folk. I was in a rock band. I did so many different things, and I really didn't know. I was all over the place, and that's why sometimes I tell an artist who comes in and they have these limitations as a vocalist, right? Maybe they have a really tiny range, or they have something else. Like sometimes those limitations are like a blessing, because the second you open your mouth, everybody knows who you are. So it's not. I would say sometimes it can be challenging to figure out what genre. Where's your niche, and it's really important today too, it's more important today, I would say, because as you're sort of finding your place, and who are your Instagram followers, and who it's like, what kind of music, and it's, so I would say, how do you figure it out? You start asking yourself, who could I open for? And, you know, most of their audience would want to listen to me, you know, who are those artists? And then I guess you want to sort of start. So when you're writing the songs, if you're trying to figure out as a songwriter, what genre am I writing in? I guess, Barbara, are you writing songs for other artists?
No, I just write songs for myself at this point.
Okay.
But
So I think,
yeah.
who am I? So if you ask yourself, like, who, if I go on stage and I'm going to open for James Taylor, is that audience going to, you know, are they going to, and not that you couldn't win. I mean, you can always win an audience over, but without that piece, like just the song, who is gonna, what audience, so who would I open for? What artist should I be going on to? As you're like, so her audience there will love her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that helpful, Barbara?
Well, yes, except I don't think I'll be going on tour with anybody. But no, I have written, you know, like folk songs. I've written some blues songs. I've written some, I guess you call it indie. So it's just hard to know what to call yourself. And then sometimes I think of people, oh, this would be a great song for Dolly Parton, or this would be a great song for Joan Baez. You know,
I would. So the genre I feel comfortable with often is saying singer-songwriter. Well, but are you singing your own songs?
yes, I am.
So singer-songwriter, I think opens you up to those, because you have singer-songwriters like Kebmo, right? He's a singer-songwriter, but he's blues. And you have singer-songwriters. This is Hope.
Mama,
and you have
I had to take while I was on the
sorry,
charger.
I'm on a little interview here. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me. Here, take mine.
No, it's on the charger, but it's died anyway.
Okay, I'll help you in, I can't help, I'll help you in 15 minutes. Sorry, can you close the door, sweetheart? Sorry about that, guys.
Well, I was in a Zoom.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're allowed to be a mom, you know.
Sorry.
Since you have
So
choices.
I would say, for now, I would say singer-songwriter, because if you're writing some blues, some could be country, Dolly Parton, I hear, could be, when you say indie, who are you thinking about? When you say indie artist?
You know, I don't know. I think that's just more of a global catch-all if you don't know what you are. You're indie.
Yeah.
Right. So I think indie, I would say singers, I mean, I have to hear your songs, which I'm happy to listen to, but I would say it seems like singer-songwriter would suit, and it kind of opens you up. So if you send something to a country artist and you're a singer-songwriter, that makes sense. If you sing, there, you know, blues artists are singer-songwriters as well. So is that helpful?
Yeah, sure. And then tell me how you can listen to my songs sometime.
Oh, I'll just ask Poppy to connect us, I guess.
Okay.
Andre, would you agree that, and you can easily find me like on ruthgerson.com. I'm like ruth@ruthgerson.com. So you can email me directly as well. And then Andre, would you agree genre that singer-songwriter?
For myself,
No, for Barbara, for what she is describing.
it sounds like it.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a wide open field nowadays, but
Right.
yeah. Rick, do you have a question?
I do. I'm not much of a performer, but I like to write songs, and most of my energy is around the song I'm writing or the song I just wrote, and I still want to play it another 100 times before I'm bored with it. And then there's this long tail of, well, I wrote that, 2 months ago and I never play that anymore. And then I wrote that last year and I don't even remember how to play that.
Mm.
So I guess my question is, what do I do with these songs once I get done with them? Is there a place that I know, 1,000 people are writing a song a day and there's a flood and it's an ocean and nobody can get through it. So most of these will just go forever into obscurity, and that's fine. I get that. but is there any place I can just like bury them where they're more discoverable rather than just completely undiscoverable?
Do you have an Instagram?
That's the one I haven't got on yet.
That's okay. My Instagram I made an Instagram just so I could kind of make sure that my older daughter wasn't posting pictures of herself that were not okay for a 13-year-old or something. And then and so I looked at my Instagram recently, and it's all these pictures of my kids hacking my Instagram and making fun of me. So, but it is what it is. I don't love, obviously I'm happiest with paper and a pencil. I don't really love technology, but I think that you'll have fun on Instagram, and those songs you play it 100 times, then record yourself and post it, and TikTok as well. Go ahead. You'll probably be a freaking sensation. I mean, it's not conventional, right? Because we're not 15, right? But there's a more and more, that's why the kids will probably get away from it quickly, because the more we go on it, the more they don't want it anymore. That's, to me, it's a perfect place for you to post those songs, and you're done with them, but it's always there. You just scroll back, and as people discover you, and maybe they discover you because they're listening to the 25th song maybe they find you on song 25, but they can go back and listen to all your songs. I also recommend that you make yourself teaching videos to yourself. How do I play this song? So I know when you find a very interesting open chord, or you do something interesting on the piano, and then you have to try to recreate it, and you go, how did I play that? It can be such a pain in the neck to refigure it out. So by ear. So unless it's just the simple chord and you just write a chart, if you do anything that's just a little bit tricky and you're going to forget how to play it, make yourself a little teaching video. So when one of those songs becomes super famous, you can remember how to play it.
Thank you.
I hope that helps.
Another way is SoundCloud too.
Yeah.
I know, especially I have a grandson who's a rapper, and he posts his song on SoundCloud.
Okay.
And one of his songs, he got, I think, 1,500 hits of people listening to it, which isn't a lot nowadays, but it's, who knows when one of the 1,500 is someone who can make it happen. The whole point, I think, is to expose yourself and as much as possible to as many different social media groups as you can. And I mean, social media is the name of the game nowadays. And I'm just learning it myself. I'm sort of old school and becoming new school as fast as possible. And I think it's important. That's why I'm so interested in how you use Instagram, because I have an Instagram account and I never go on it, but now I'm going to and see.
All right, well, it's a pact. We'll all get on it and do it.
How do I find you? Just punch in your name?
Yes, but I'm actually in the midst of changing my Instagram. So I'm going to do an Instagram that's makes sense for me, which is just going to be the Gersons. So it's going to be for Emma and Hazel and me, because I also want to spend time, if I'm going to be on there, also promoting content for them as well. And I think it's kind of interesting, to do something as a, we did have a family band. Now with school, my eldest is at college, we don't really play together so much, but I think it's nice to have some different things going on. But right now, yeah, it's Ruth Gerson, but you're going to see a lot of pictures of my kids making faces. It's not set up as it ought to be. My Facebook is more, that makes more sense. So my Facebook is just my name, Ruth Gerson.
Okay.
But we got to get there. We'll make a pact. We're going to get there. We're going to get on the Instagram. We're going to get on and then we're going to post something every day.
Do you know if you can post this? I didn't think Instagram was long enough. You could post a long enough song, like the whole song on Instagram.
So they started the IGTV. So only a small portion of it will show up actually on the feed, but you know, you can click on it and listen to the whole song. But don't fool yourself. Most people are not listening to those whole songs. I mean, they do. I mean, if you can catch them, like Andre was saying, if you can catch them with that chorus, right? And so maybe if you're writing a song and you want somebody to watch the whole thing, maybe the section that you post is going to be that chorus, right? Not just the first few seconds that set up the chorus. I mean, I would ask Andre about that, but that would be my first thought.
I agree with you. In fact, nowadays, songs are shorter than they've ever been. The attention span of the audience is shorter than ever. And a lot of hit songs are under 2.5 minutes, where it used to be you had to do 3.5 minutes. I've always ignored time anyway. I stop when the song's done. But I think starting off with a chorus, if you've only got room enough to do that, that's the way to go. If it's a chorus-driven song. Some songs have the title at the end of every verse. And so that's where you have to go. But you're right. You got to have the power punch right there. Otherwise, they'll on other things right away. So, but your use of Instagram is, if I learned anything really valuable today, which I've learned a few things from you, is your use of Instagram. I'm going to start messing.
Well, that's kind of funny because I'm not using it, but I'm going to start to, so we can do it together.
Okay. Any other
I
questions?
wanted to, unless there's a question, I thought I would just give you, because everybody's songwriters, just give you all this one little writing exercise that I do with students. I thought it might be a fun thing to share with you.
Yeah, go.
So a bunch of different things that I do to pull songs out of people. And I believe everyone has songs in them. But this is just a really, really easy, simple, fun thing to do, which is just take any song that speaks to you, that is written directly to one person. Like, for example, Sam Smith's song, I Know You're Not the Only One, right? And then just respond to each line. Just respond. So if he says something like, you and me, we made a vow, for better or for worse, right? Then you have to take the perspective. So are you in agreement or disagreement with the writer? Like, are you saying, so in this case, he's saying, I know you cheated on me, right? So if you're in agreement, you're going to say, yeah, I cheated on you, I'm out. Or if you're in disagreement, you're going to say, I never cheated on you, you're crazy, I love you, I'm always with you. So if the title of his song is, I Know You're Not the Only One, and let's say, I'm in disagreement with you, Mr. Smith, then, or whoever wrote the song, I'm not sure who wrote that song, it was probably a collaboration. Then I'm going to say, you know, you've always been the only one. There's never been anyone, or you're, you know, so my title is going to be in direct conversation. And each line of my song, I am going to be proving my point and arguing with him, right? So, you know, you and me, we made a vow, like, for better or for worse. I remember the day that we first met, you know, I knew from our first kiss, right? Like that, like so you're just, everything he says, you're going to, and you're starting, the thing that's good is you're starting, if you starting with a song you love, you're starting with a well-sculpted song. You're starting with something that's great. And then, so you're going to respond all the way through. And as you respond, follow the same sort of scheme in structure, follow the same rhyme patterns, but you don't have to follow the same rhymes, follow the same rhyme patterns. And even in the beginning, you're going to follow the same melody, because that's going to help you sort of keep a cadence of speech, of lyrics that are helpful. Then once you have that, you're going to go back in. Of course, you're going to come up with new chords. You're going to come up with a new progression. You have to come up with a new melody. And as you come up with a new melody, some of those words are also going to change. But it's a pretty fun, you know, almost like it's a pretty fun and easy way to kind of get a song out of yourself, especially if you're feeling a little slumped.
So Priscilla had a question. Do you have a minute to answer one more question?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Priscilla?
Thank you. Thank you. So I was just curious more about like how you deal with feedback on your songs, and do you have a process for collecting feedback and then applying the feedback, and how do you go about that, just out of curiosity?
That's a good question. I really, when I look back at my songwriting, I really did not have a good avenue for feedback. Like a little bit like, you know, I didn't get, you know, you know, in the record business, you might have people who go, oh, that's a hit, or I don't hear the songs, but that's not really feedback, you know, someone who can get inside your song with you and say, maybe you should try this, or maybe so, you know, keep what you have, but what if this happened? Or, you know, this is, I think, you know, you're undermining your hook here, or, you know, or, hey, this piece, this is your hook, let's get that over here and stuff like that. So I haven't really had that kind, you know, I longed for that kind of feedback, and I think that would have been very helpful. So how I handle it, I don't feel like I can give you a great answer, other than if somebody says something to you about your song and it rings true for you, like you're like, oh, I knew that, right? Then that's something that may help you. Like I was at a West Coast songwriter song circle once, and I remember somebody saying something about my song that I found really annoying. I had this line in a song, sorry about, like, I'm like a lioness, I'm built to protect. You're like an elephant, you never can forget. So it was in a song that I had, and somebody was just like, a lion and an elephant, that's so stupid. Like, that doesn't even make sense. And I remember feeling like that, the whole comment, like, was it like that person just didn't get it, right? So that feedback was not helpful to me. It was just kind of like somebody who wasn't inside my song with me. But then another person said something, and it was about this one line that I wrote. Like, the rest of the song was really strong. It's the same song. And there was this one line, and he's like, that line, like, I feel like from the other lines, like, you could do better. And I remember going, yeah, I could do better. And I remember being also maybe in the moment, like, damn it, like you figured me out. I thought I had that little piece in there, and that it's really, and it took me, and it was really another time I was like, oh, I could do that. And that was a way better line. So I would say when you get criticism, you have to use your brain and your heart. Like, if it's something that rings true and you know what they're saying, you're like, yeah, I think then yes, that criticism can help you. If it's somebody just kind of saying something that really isn't engaged and connected to you and your song, then I guess it's hard to have, I cry easily. It's hard to have a thick skin, but you have to tell yourself, like, that's not about me, that's about that person. Is that helpful?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, very helpful. It's just interesting, because sometimes you do get conflicting feedback about the same song, and so it's always an interesting conundrum for me, where I'm like, well, do I change it, or are there just going to be those people who get it and others that don't? And if I love it, who cares? Like, so it's just sort of a question, and also like, yeah, is it for someone else, or is it just for me? Like, wondering how much should I just incorporate the feedback or not?
You know what helps me a lot is, once you have your song, is to find a model song. Find a song that is, I mean, we're writing songs, we're not reinventing a wheel. You know, we're writing songs. There's every song we write, we can probably find 1,000 songs that are pretty close to our song, right? It's how we say things and who we're talking to, and the moment of saying that dialogue that is unique, right? So find a song that's close, that you love, right? then use it as a model, like reflect. So let's say you wrote a song, it's 4 lines, verse, 4 lines, verse, then 4 lines of chorus, and so then it's a bridge. Like find a song that's close, that you love, and then kind of reflect it, use it as a mirror, right? This is something I often do. And I took a song that I wrote and I really liked the song, but there were things that felt unfinished. And I just took, at the time, I took Imagine, John, because I think it's a perfectly sculpted song by John Lennon, right? Now my song sounds nothing, it's called Someday Soon, it sounds nothing like Imagine, but the structure of it, when I put it all together, I was like, oh, I should do this and do this and do this. And my song changed drastically, but I loved it. It was way better than I had, I wasn't getting to the point at all in my song. And though there were a lot of great things that I was saying, I wasn't getting to the point. And so, using Imagine really helped me sculpt my song. So sometimes I think that can even be more helpful than, and also I do believe that if somebody's critiquing your song, you need to hear it more than once. And I think we're often in situations where like you play a song and you get a critique. And whenever somebody plays a song for me, the first thing I do is say, okay, can you play it again? So, because you have to get inside the song to appreciate the song. And it's really great criticism is appreciation. Does that make sense?
Totally. Thank you.
But try that. See if that's more helpful than this person says this person says that.
Yeah, no, I like that. Thank you very much. That was really helpful.
And record everything you do, because if you change the song, sometimes you need to like maybe later go back and go, you know what, that was better before. And but you don't know till you go on that journey.
Thank you so much for Andre and Ruth doing this today. Really appreciate everybody joining us and being flexible with the cancellation. And
thank you.
I'm gonna try and take one more screenshot. Every time I did it, it slowed my internet down and was kicking me off. So I wanted to wait till the end. So everybody pose pretty.
I'm probably cross-eyed.
I got it, and it didn't kick me off. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. And this will be up on our Thinkific site, so make sure you check out Thinkific for workshops.
And can I just say, we're doing a little benefit for direct relief on Valentine's Day. So I've got a bunch, and I've got a couple of sort of semi-famous people who are going to sing, and if you just Facebook friend me or email me or whatever, I'll let you know where and when it's going to be.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ruth, again for all your time with us and for us. And thank you, Andre.
Sure, my pleasure.
Thank you, Andre.